Now, to give you more insight on the matter, we are joined by Tony Gosling. He's an investigative journalist joining us from Bristol. Mr. Gosling, it's good to have you with us. I hope you're well. My first question, Osama Hamdan emphasized that no captives will be released without a full withdrawal and ceasefire. Do you believe Hamas's firm stance reflects the wider Palestinian resistance growing confidence?
Well, look, not just that. It's common sense. Basic logic. You're not going to release your hostages unless you have a guarantee of a permanent ceasefire, and they'd have nothing like that. In fact, even if there is a ceasefire negotiation taking place, you can guarantee that Netanyahu will use it as an excuse to kill the negotiators. We've seen this again and again with Hamas, and also, of course, with Hezbollah, with Nasrallah. Someone I've been following, an absolutely brilliant guy. He was a cleric, a wise man, if you want, an old wise man with a beard. And when he was negotiating for a ceasefire in Lebanon, the Israelis killed him. So absolutely no point in even talking about a ceasefire. I'm getting rather fed up, actually, with the BRICS countries' military and their stance at the United Nations. We've got hundreds of thousands of people in northern Gaza right now starving, dying. They have no access to proper water. The internet is just occasional and very, very slow. So they can't communicate these crimes to the outside world very easily. So they've got no shelter, and what shelter they're having is being bombed as if it was a military bunker, using these military-grade munitions supplied by the United States to the Israelis to kill these innocent civilians. It's got beyond the idea of any kind of negotiating a ceasefire, I think, totally beyond that. And I hope that the BRICS countries realise that, and that at the very least, somebody with a military uniform trained in this, with the equipment to do so, gets the water, gets the food to the Palestinians in the north of Gaza. Let's not think about necessarily at the moment trying to fight the Israelis. Just get the food to the people who are already alive, because they're being starved to death.
That's right. How do you see these ongoing acts of defiance shaping the future of Palestinians' armed struggle and its broader impact on the Israeli occupation?
Well, that's if Palestine has a future. At the moment, what you've got is a prison camp which is slowly being slaughtered by a very professional army using drones and aircraft, and as I said, munitions, bombs, extremely powerful bombs designed to destroy military targets are now being used against refugee camps to just kill as many people as they can. And so, there needs to be, I think, and actually the countries nearby, I'm talking here about the Saudis, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, must actually start battering down the wall around Gaza so these people can at least get out from this, because they're hemmed in. This has been going on for over a year, and obviously the United Nations and the UN Security Council has totally failed to do anything about it. There should, of course, have been some kind of UN peacekeeping force in there to keep the Israelis out of the occupied territories, but that hasn't happened. The BRICS is really the only hope for some kind of international effort, a military effort to push back the Israelis, which they must be pushed back. But most importantly, everyone seems to have forgotten that the Palestinian people need water. The Palestinian people in the north at the moment, they're not allowed any. There's no aid getting in at all. And they need to eat. And so I can't quite believe that the BRICS countries, Iran, of course, one of them, the South Africans have been to court and got a few bits of paper, but not much more. We need to have action in order to make sure that these people in the north of Gaza right now. Now, I'm talking also about the possibility of airlifts, so airdrops, that is getting aircraft through. If the Israelis want to try and attack those aircraft, then so be it. Then you've got an air war going on. And also, of course, to try and clear the drones from the sky, which are being used for surveillance. So maybe dropping something which the Palestinians can use to shoot down these drones, to disable these drones electronically or whatever. But it seems to be many military solutions to this. I'm sure the Iranians and the Russians, the Syrians, the plucky Yemeni military, they've got some ideas here, but these ideas need to be formed into action right now. For these poor people in the north of Gaza. We've had a year of this, and it seems to be virtually no action at all. And so the Israelis are just upping the ante all the time. They really do believe there's no red lines at all. And so we must have some BRICS country, UN maybe, but without the UN, the BRICS countries need to get in there and save the lives of these hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in the north of Gaza right now who are being murdered and starved by the Israelis. I think the time for talking and negotiation is over. The time for action is now.
Mr. Gosling, you mentioned BRICS. How do you see BRICS emerging as a counterbalance to protect the people of Gaza from further human rights violations?
Well, let's see. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Action to save lives is what's needed. And I don't see that from the BRICS. I don't see that from the United Nations. What I see is a few actions that have been partially successful. But there are two main things that need to happen here. One is that the fence around Gaza must be broken so that people can escape if they want to escape. They can get out. At the moment, that's not happened. Obviously, the Israelis are trying to guarantee that. But let's get, for example, you can have a squad of soldiers go in there and detonate the wall, and then maybe get airlifted out with some of the poor Palestinian people. So these are very basic things I think that need to change what's happened. Obviously, the Israelis will make a fuss about it, but who cares? Let's save some lives in the north of Gaza right now.
That's absolutely right. Thank you so much for your time and expertise. That was Tony Gosling, investigative journalist.